Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Creatively Speaking. So excited. Let's get into it. Who am I sitting with again?
First off, the professional talk show voice.
Okay.
Like you hear her?
Wait,
Who is this?
Right.
Hello.
All right, friends. Introduce yourself
What's
and keep it
up?
moving.
Hey.
Like,
Cook, happy to be here. Creative architect in these streets, multidisciplinary storyteller.
yes.
As always.
What's going on, everybody? JCole here for another episode of Creatively Speaking. I'm excited for this one. I'm not going to hold you. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder what we're talking
And who
about
are
today.
you?
Oh, well, I'm Kadeja, a.k.a. K-Lig, and we are back for another episode. So what y'all been up to?
I'll go first.
Yay.
Actually, one thing that I did recently was I just did a mural proposal for a project in Baltimore in the springtime, and it was the last step. I was one of the finalists for this. So definitely a new opportunity. I was able to present in front of the community and all the stakeholders and things like that. So it's just a great chance. It just shows you bet on yourself.
Hey, round of applause.
that
You know what I
is
mean?
so
It's
dope.
2024, but I'm in 2025 already.
Hey, that's a big deal. So I'm assuming like it's levels to this shit, as it always is.
Uh-huh.
So doing it with the city is probably like the top level. Is that for you?
For the most part, honestly, you want to get the private ones with the from the companies.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the ones. The public projects through the city and the government, they have so much red tape and redlining and stuff like that, which is cool because you're doing it for the community, but it's a lot of steps. But this is like one of the final levels. After this, they'll pick the finalists. So, I pray that I'm the one chosen.
Can we vote for you at all, or is that like it's like
it's not that type
It's
of
all
thing.
opinion.
Can we boycott? Go
feel
out
me?
somewhere with
You
some
don't wanna
signs.
pick
Vote
him?
J-Law. Vote for J-Law. We gotta do
Seriously.
something.
Exactly. You feel me? We'll see what happens when the results come out.
I love it. Do you have any dream murals that you want?
Dream murals. Nothing I can think of off top. I'm just rolling with the
Everything's under wraps.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hey man, my life has a lot going on. I ain't gonna hold you.
Let's get into it.
This week when this episode drops, of course, it's my birthday week.
Hey,
go.
turn
Got a
up,
trip to
turn up.
Dallas.
What is that, Sagittarius?
Yes.
Hey. My dad's a Sagittarius.
Oh, it's a good thing. It's a
It
good
is.
thing.
It's great. It's a great thing. I love Sagittarius.
You don't know how you feel
I have
about
a
that.
great
That was
relationship with my dad.
That was on the spot type thing. I don't know.
No,
but that's what's up. But yeah, so that's happening. But I'm also moving at the end of this month.
Gotcha.
So packing the house while packing for a trip is terrible. I wouldn't recommend. A terrible idea. Don't do that. But I'm excited because once I get to Dallas, I get to reflect on this journey.
Okay,
So
Dallas.
it's gonna be a fun week outside of that start.
You on the move for real. New age, new location, new
Hey.
trip. Like,
Who this?
Right.
Who this?
So-
So just but between that, and then recently I've been just enjoying shows more still. Like I got into The Shy. Either of y'all ever see The Shy?
Oh yeah,
I have
I'm
opinions
caught up
about
that.
The Shy.
Wait, what?
Okay, not this. I personally just don't think that it's well written or well acted.
How far did you get into it?
Probably season 2.
Okay, go ahead.
So I like that opinion because they had to pivot very quickly.
Yeah, and they switched the whole vibe.
Because the character, he had some bullshit.
Real
going
life
on.
things
Exactly,
that you
right.
got to change the
Yeah,
script.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's why I actually respect it because they were able to pivot mid season to a whole nother storyline. So I definitely feel like the original storyline would have been better, but
Okay.
I still like it for what they had to go through.
I mean, but the funny thing is, season 2 was actually when it's. I mean, granted, yeah, they did instantly change, so that was
right.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think shows like that, you really do gotta kind of look at the underlying storyline for the first 2 seasons, and then look more at production and action season 3, 4. When people, because a lot of them are kids, they're young, they're trying to get into it. Same thing with I think Book of Ghosts. I couldn't get into it at first, but now that the season's done and you go back and you can see the growth, you can
Is that
see the
one,
money.
That's the one, not Raising Canaan. I get them confused. The one with Tariq. And then the one
That's Book of
with.
Yes,
Okay.
Book of Ghosts is Tariq. So that's kind of my thought with The Shy. They're kids. Give them time to develop. And I think that the writing's gotten better and the production's gotten better because I'm on season 6 now.
Gotcha.
But I do think that there was a pattern of issue in storytelling that I saw with it. Enjoy it, but I can't do the same. It's always a drug-led kingpin type
Gotcha.
of
I get it.
source.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I get
There's
that.
other ways out. I would love to see a show like that talk about grant funding,
Right.
or talk about other ways of getting yourself out there in the midst of being in the trap.
Yeah.
That's probably why I didn't want to watch Cross. I have a thing with police brutality, police corruption. I cannot. As soon as you start talking about like, oh, this cop done killed this black kid, I'm out. Like anything like black trauma type shit, I cannot watch it.
Yeah.
I'm already tapped out. Cross immediately. No.
Dang, dog. I mean, I would say if it helps you any better, get past that point because that didn't happen that way. But you got to watch it.
It's still like, is that like a central conversation?
I get it. No, it talks about. So yeah, you know what? Protect your peace.
You're right. I'm not here to convince
you. I feel like
you.
it's overdone.
Right?
I just
This
feel like
ain't
it's
the selling
overdone.
point of the conversation. But I will say Cross is a great series. But I also like the books of Cross too. Like I read all those James Patterson books when they actually first came out.
He's a reader, ladies.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, still out here, Sagittarius, reader, get all the information, you know. But no, I think that, so it's really been enjoying TV shows, all that, and I'm also working on picking up another language, but we'll see.
Okay. Is it Spanish?
Nah, man, you would think, right? Nah, I mean, at this point, nah.
You gotta learn Portuguese?
I hate to say what's left, but which one is it?
Right, Russian?
Nah, I want to learn Italian. I want to actually take a trip to Italy. So
That's
yeah,
different.
I mean,
Okay.
that's my
That's
goal.
fair.
Yeah,
That's
so-
fair. I think it is important to like try to dabble in the language before you go somewhere. So that's cool.
Yeah,
I respect
sure.
that. I was invited to an influencer brunch with WOC Worldwide. Shout out to the girls. And they invite influencers, content creators, and also business owners. So the brunch was really dope. It was at the Wharf.
Ooh.
And yeah, you know.
We know what the wharf be.
Like fancy, very fancy. But I had a good time. It was like one of those things I could see myself like internally questioning, why am I in this room? And then at the same time, opening myself up, making friends by the end of the night. So it was really cool. It was like, okay, I'm self-conscious. I'm in the corner. Then somebody talks to me, and now I'm talking to people. Now I'm like schmoozing, doing the thing. So it was cool. It was good.
Do you consider yourself an influencer now? Like, are you ready to own
I'm about to
that?
say that's
Own-
about the third, fourth one I've been hearing in the last 2 months.
Go check the tape.
I
Come
don't
on.
know, because I still think I was invited based on my business. So I have my stationery brand. So I think that's why people, because it has like the bigger number of followers, which not to say that that's what this person was looking for, but I do have like 13K versus like on my personal page where I'm showing up every day, I have 6,000. So it's like,
They both you got 20,000.
hey, you know,
Right, like,
add that up. You know?
Who gets the audience this large? You know what I mean? Add the
So-
business too. The production studio. You got numbers, dog.
No, for real.
So I don't know. Like I show up in so many different buckets that influencer, I don't know. I think it gets like the shadiest.
Yeah.
You know it does.
does,
So
it
I'm
does.
like, I would prefer to call myself a creative or a content creator. Now people are calling me a podcaster, and I'm like, oh,
Hey man, long they send them invites.
hey, call me what you want.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
long as them brand
I'm
deals
in the
coming
room.
in, you know.
I
So,
was
yeah.
gonna do the Wayne quote, but yeah, nah, that's funny. I'm with y'all.
Tell us the Wayne quote.
Nah, to call me what you want.
Oh.
Never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a rapper too. He's a
Clearly
reader,
He
a
is.
rapper.
I'm out here. I'm out
I
here.
love that.
But yeah, I mean, keep going. K-Lig, I love when you, hey Mike. I love when you're the best. You're the DJ Khaled
Thank
of this.
you.
Keep going.
You know, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going on to this topic that we're talking about. So a little while ago, probably about 3 weeks ago now, at the time of this taping, JCole dropped the Inevitable series, which, just to give everybody a little basis of what it was, it's an audio series that JCole blessed his fans with. Is it like 10 parts, y'all?
It's a 10-part episode. Yeah.
10-part episode, over 20 hours of content with him chatting with Ebe, which is his manager and longtime friend, as well as Scott Laser, who is an editor, which also piqued my interest.
Yeah.
He is an editor and kind of like the producer behind this. It was recorded in 2020, 2022, which I think is the dopest part because we all know what happened between this time and last year. So it does not include that little bit of information or kind of like J. Cole's thought process around there, but it really dives into his rise to where we know him as right now. So I'm going to deep dive and just tell y'all like what it says verbatim on the website.
I like that. Yeah.
You like that, right?
Hey, Mike K-Lig.
All right.
ISO.
All right. Not
ISO.
too much. Not too much. 'Cause I'm getting a little hot. So it says, in this raw and reflective limited audio series, Jermaine Cole takes listeners on an unfiltered voyage through his life, career, and unreleased music to guide the story. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I missed the whole sentence. I can read too. So Richmond Public Schools, shout out to y'all. Through his life, career, and personal evolution, using both released and unreleased music to guide the story. Through conversations with Ibrahim and Scott Laser, season 1 finds Cole recounting his journey from his early days as a young aspiring rapper to finally seeing his dreams become reality, despite the many hurdles and pitfalls he faces along the way. So that's the audio series description. I also just think like the whole entire rollout was super dope. So I'm here today to talk about this huge thing that just dropped. What do y'all think?
So question, before we dive into that, did y'all see the promo on the Instagram when it dropped before the audio?
Absolutely.
Yes. I think it got sent to the group chat expeditiously.
Got you. So I just want a question for y'all. What did y'all think this was before it dropped? I'm just curious.
Not $10.
Fair.
I thought it was free. That's what I thought. Like I thought it was free.
I thought it was a podcast.
Okay.
I really did. I mean, just because it's set up like it, like anything recapturing the journey, you think about all the hit like sports people who do podcasts. Like, all right, like now we're about to get another rapper in that lane. So that's what I thought it was before it got popular.
I didn't think it was gonna be, for me, I thought it was gonna be very like commercial, streamlined, like things that we already know type deal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But when he said he found the laptop in the garage with unknown tracks and things like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is about to be different. So that I just wanted to get y'all mindset before we dive into the.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think that far into it.
I thought maybe we would have like a visual component, which I mean, I'm good either way. Like some of the things that he deep dives on and like the storytelling of it all, I didn't need any visuals. Like I thought it was great as an audio series, but the way that they did the promo, I loved. Just as an editor, the way they added the words, and you had like little sneak peeks of him in the studio. Like I thought it was well broadcasted to the masses.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
For sure. What was your initial reaction?
I mean, once it came out, or like so now that it's actually launched and it's like again, $10. Like let's just like that initial thought of his own platform was like, ooh, like that's special, especially right now, podcasting, things that you can take it. So it was like, okay, what's this experience like? And then to your point, get to the paywall. It's like, do I want to?
But question, we didn't pay the 10 when it first dropped, right?
I made a whole
No, we
TikTok.
didn't. Like we came in here, like we talked. We literally, I think that happened while we were shooting the pod.
Right.
We talked about a few other things too, and we were like, nah, yo, it's not worth it. We don't want to spend $10 just to hear.
Which is crazy because I would consider myself a fan. JLaw, you consider yourself a fan.
I'm a fan.
So you were like $10, yeah, your name, or were you like?
So I was like, I don't know. I just ain't know. You feel me? Because I just didn't know what to expect from that, and I really thought like it was gonna be a mainstream thing out in the public, but I like how it's really been kept under wraps. You really gotta pay the 10 to listen to it. You know what I mean? And I can't remember what episode. I think it must have been the buzz on social media that kind of really sparked our interest. Like, damn, we really need to tap in.
Yeah, for sure. I think about. I think the only pushback and the reason why I kind of was second guessing is just because like everything is behind a paywall now, and then things get leaked as well. But also Cole's audience is dollar and a dream, college students, getting out the mud. So him putting a price tag on it kind of made me like, is that?
But you know what's funny? But that's a inflation, right? Look, I gave y'all $1 and a dream back in when. Y'all should have jobs by now.
Fact.
Like if you're still in the mud at this stage of following me, there's more you got.
You ain't looked at the journey and take nothing from it. That's what it is.
Have you really listened, right? Like, have you done anything? So I think
you think about like Drake. What is it? 100 gigs. He released that for free.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people I should not be comparing because that's my own rule. However, in the scheme of like nostalgia and a large amount of data from these artists, Drake released 100 gigs, which is like unreleased music, unreleased visuals. I don't even know because I didn't even tap in. It's a little bit much for me. Versus Cole's way of doing it as a slow released podcast. What do y'all think about that?
I think that's a really good point because the structure of it, right? Like, again, 100 gigs dropped. It's files online. I don't even know what I'm getting. Like, it just feels like
a little overwhelming.
Yes. And so when this came out again, it was something that seemed thought out. Is hey, number one episode series. You got this great dope artwork covering it, and I forgot to get the gentleman's name who did it. If somebody can pull that up, please, that'll be great. Because the artwork was also like, oh, I like this like repurpose of it. You have this photo of JCole and Eve kind of looking at the history of what they've been through, and then the title of Cole's album or singles and mixtapes that he did. I thought it was a good packaging of nostalgia because it brought you right back to it. Like even reading the title of like the come up, it's like, yo, you think about your own path. So by episode 4, I think that's when I decided, okay, you know what? Let me pay the 10. A couple clips leaked online, like you always, like you call, like you know what I mean. Again, what am I getting, and is it worth it? Especially in this world where everybody's asking for $1 and we just watch you apologize for a battle. Like it's also
all right.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like the timing. You
ain't gotta talk about the bad things. Right?
No, it wasn't that. I'm just saying the timeline of like when this is happening, because it's like, what's your next move? So as this next move, it's like, all right, well, what are we getting for this? Like you're asking for something right away, and
he delivered. I mean, the best $10 I ever bought.
And
well, let me not front like I paid for it either.
look alike.
Luckily, these are solo cameras.
Let me not play like I actually played for it. My good friend over here knew I was a penny bitch. I ain't about to be.
And then she lapped me.
I started listening to that shit like,
That's
put it in my ears.
That's funny.
But yeah,
That's
did you
funny.
have the name of the artist? Because I don't want to overlook him. He also did a lot of the Dreamville Fest artwork that I absolutely love.
So it's actually a creative studio called Burn and Broad. So they're, I think, 2 people, and they're located in NYC, and they're called Burn and Broad. So I actually never heard of them before. Yeah, I never heard of them before then. But I think the rollout was just, well, like the $10, it was like a true structured business move. And I say that in terms of like owning your audience. I really see this as being a play of like, it's past the music at this point. And we going to dive into that with the story and things like that, with the fall off and all that. But I think he's really tapping into lanes where you can really own your audience. You're not relying on social media, streaming platforms. And it looks like the Inevitable, I think it's called Inevitable.live. The platform is made, I don't know if it's custom for just them.
It is.
Oh,
I
damn.
looked in the back end because I was like, who is this?
Wow.
Like, who built this whole platform, this whole app? They built it for this particular purpose.
That's
Him and
crazy.
Cole's like in the back of the copyrights, yeah.
And for those who might not have tapped into it or like have no idea of this platform, JCole, or what's happening, one thing to let you know, this platform has, of course, the podcast in it. It also has a chat room for anyone who signs up. You'll actually be able to, you know, it's a community app, essentially. You know, you have that. You have a shop where you're getting access to the merch, and we'll talk about some other things that he introduces later where there's an exclusive investment. And I think this is a really good direction, because to our conversation a couple episodes back, we were talking about Ari Lennox and marketing, and we were like, yo, how do they not own their marketing? How do they not own their email? And I think this play shows that, yo, Cole recognizes, okay, I need to own my audience a little bit more now. And this was the best play to do it, because now you're getting an audience, direct people who have now invested into it, skip past every term and condition of what they're giving up for it. Because at this point, just send me $10.
Exactly.
Here, right? Exactly. So now you have all this information. So the ability to leverage that in terms of whatever he does next. Or
well, you've seen that
marketing.
with the exclusive drops of the vinyls, with the exclusive tickets. Like we had our own pre-sale code because we paid $10.
Exactly.
We had a pre-sale code for the Madison Square Garden
and you
show.
can see I was about to say, but not only that, but you can actually stream the Madison Square Garden show if you are in the app. Like you can only watch it. So like this shows you the just foresight that their team has of putting something together. Like, look, we don't have this, right? We're missing this piece of marketing, and we want to be really independent, but as big as we can be. What can we do? This play is it.
Exactly.
And it's different than even like Joe Budden with Patreon. It's like you bypass, let me get a deal with Spotify. Let me get a deal with Patreon, where they have these apps that's already built for a community. I'm curious as to why they didn't do that and went with their own, back to the point of like owning your own data.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, all these brands still own what they show you what they want to give you. You know, like leverage is one thing, but a lot of them don't want to give up too much leverage of what they have.
Right.
And so I am a huge supporter of doing anything that you can completely own your audience, even if that's 5 people, because you directly have these 5 people and you know what's going on with them.
Exactly.
Some of these apps, when you look on the back end, they don't give you true demographic. They don't give you true, audience reach, age, median, the things that you could actually leverage into sales. So to do it this way, they have that all in house now. So this is a great play for anybody that's trying to figure out. But I will also caution it costs a lot to build an app. It costs a lot.
But they
to build
did it
those
with
things.
their biggest artists. Like,
Yeah,
this is a
right.
Dreamville
This is
play. It's like,
JCole.
we're going to do this with JCole.
Exactly.
Like, we're not going to test drive this with Ari or Boss. It's like,
Yeah.
no, let's do it with the biggest fish.
Yeah, no, that's a good kind of proof of concept play too. Like, because that's really what this all is what that is. So, do we want to dive into what we heard on them episodes or anything else?
Yeah,
on the
I'm good
rollout?
with that.
Your thoughts? Anybody go on the journey? Because
So many thoughts. What
It
about
is.
you, J-Lo? Where do you
I
want to
think,
start?
I got a whole list of notes.
Let's
on
go
this.
with your
Like,
notes.
buckle up, folks.
No, for real. And I think for one, before we dive into the journey, I think the biggest thing about this was like the reflection that Cole had and Eve have in this, in terms of them two were literally on the journey when it started. Like,
Which I love.
going to school together, coming from North Carolina, meeting Eve, and they deep dived into that on the episode. But I think this couldn't have been done without Eve there. You know what I mean?
At all.
Even though it's about JCole and his career, he's literally right by his side doing it the whole time, and he has all the memory and
Yeah, because
different-
JCole can't remember shit.
Exactly.
He was going back and forth.
He was
I'm
sounding
like,
surprised.
tell the story
Like, that happened?
Exactly.
He sounded
Like, come on now.
what happened next? It's the story. You
were
know
there
what
or
happened.
not?
You lived it. And it
I met
also,
Jay. Like-
right. And it showed you like it's great reflection of like how other people view your life versus how you view it in your own lens. Because we go through so much on our own, but we have other people along us on the journey. It's just great to have that person to feedback also. But I think let's start off. I started that episode 4 like taking notes. And one thing that you want to, I guess, take from this is like you go down a different lane when you're presented one at the time. So I say that in terms of when he was doing like his mixtapes and the come up and things like that, and the story that he talked about Jay in front of the studio. Was it Baseline?
Yeah.
When he was standing inside there, it's like he stood there for 4 hours expecting Jay to be there, not knowing what's gonna happen.
Just manifesting.
Exactly.
Like, just like,
come
I'm
on
going to
now.
show up to the studio and Jay's going to show up.
You can't
And
make
then I'm
that
gonna
up.
give him this
And like,
song.
I feel like that's so different because you're literally betting on yourself, not knowing what the outcome is gonna be. Jay definitely pulls up, and he doesn't even talk to him. He talks to
Lenny S.
Lenny S.
Yeah.
And then Jay is rushing Lenny S to get up the elevator and things like that. And it's just interesting because it comes full circle. He signs with Roc Nation later down the line, but it's just doing things out of the norm. So
There's a couple of things I want to talk about with that too, and not breeze past it, because I think there's like a lot of power in that story for a couple things. One, I like the idea of, because even afterwards, I like how when Cole has that moment after, he's like, "Yo, it's going to happen for you, but it's not
not
this
gonna
way."
be this way.
Right? Like,
I
because a
love
lot
that.
of people bank on that one moment. If I could just, it's kind of like touch the hem of his garment type of thing, right?
Exactly,
Where
right.
like you put a lot of power in just meeting someone and coming and getting next to them. That's going to get you on, right? And again, had this moment, he did what most even wouldn't do as far as being patient and waiting
Exactly.
there. But even for that, it was like, this isn't how it happens.
Yeah, that made me think of this story I heard Keenan Ivory Wayans was talking about meeting Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Where he did not want to meet Richard. Like, he pulled up at Life with Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy like, "You want to meet Rich? Like, it's cool, it's whatever." He's like, "Nah, I don't want to meet him this way." And mind you, Keenan Ivory Wayans had Living Color. He was doing things like,
Keenan Ivory.
right, he was
Exactly,
Keenan
right.
Ivory Wayans. But he did not want to meet his idol, like, on some groupie shit. Like, he was able to meet him. I forgot what award ceremony it was, but he was like introducing him and talking about, this is how I wanted to meet you. After I accomplished all these things, I could come to you as an equal,
Right.
and kind of meet you on that legend type shit. So that what made me think about it. Like, I want to meet you in a different space, not on some.
I want
listen
to.
to my beats.
I want to meet you when you want to meet me.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what the energy comes off to me as, right? And another thing is, like, we shout out Eve to start, but
Shout out Eve.
the one thing that I want to say, like, the power of a support system is shown throughout this entire
facts.
series, right? Because there were various moments where, Cole had an idea and he would just sit on it, and sometimes you need someone in your corner, like,
Just a
why?
little push,
Like,
yeah.
and I mean, like again, like we can talk team building here and all these things because sometimes those pushes a lot come from
You need a
Kayla.
long push, like a forceful movement.
Pause, yo. Pause, yo. Talking crazy.
Deep pushes.
Hey, yo. But no, it's really the so like the support system of what Eve is. Like one thing that I actually even taught, or because you think of like LeBron, Maverick Carter, like people in their partnerships and what they build out, like. For someone who's getting it in any part of the journey, and even for the people around them, I want to say this too. Like, don't be afraid to figure it out and bet on someone that is doing something when you don't know what you're doing.
Facts.
Because, for a lot of this, Eve was just around. They had a whole rule where, we're not going to do too much. Eve would just wait in the car and hold it down.
Gladly,
And that's a big thing where we talk, a lot of people consider success as being the guy, being the point person, right? But sometimes if you can hold down someone next to you, that can put y'all both in a better position. Because now he's on this journey like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, because he doesn't even talk about becoming his manager until like right before 2014 Forest Hill Drive.
Exactly.
Also, pause. He had somebody else. He was testing out different people in that manager role, not even realizing like Eve's been here from day one.
But that was, and I think
he also maybe not have been ready either.
But I think that's also a good thing to build those relationships where now Eve can see that person and how they're moving and learn from that, because now Eve will need a mentor in that. Right. Just like I think Cole needed a mentor in rap, which became Hov, and that even came its own idea of like, hey, a rivalry versus a role model,
right?
Like in his own type of conversation. But I didn't want to cut you off too much with that.
I
just want to highlight Eve direction.
That was my highlight of it. Like
that's all I need.
Yeah,
that's all, folks.
Right, exactly. I think that took it to the great conversation. But I do give Eve like credit for that, because it takes a lot of people to be comfortable in the space that they're in, not knowing, I guess, certainty. Like, okay, I'm part of the team, but I'm not the manager. What's really my role? But I'm riding with you. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And it's just knowing you want somebody to win, and you know how to play your part in the position. I think a lot of people should take note from that, is like, you don't always have to be the guy. And I think you said that.
I think I also liked how people around Cole, I'm sure it was other people, not just Eve, that kind of filled their roles, like kind of just figured it out as they were going. Like Eve was DJing at one point, Eve was recording people at one point. Like it's like, let me see how I can help the bigger vision.
Right.
It's not always about me. Yeah.
And also let's take into time the timeline of this too, because yes, this was before social media was what it is today, that they started rocking out, right? Yeah. So like Eve didn't feel like, I got to be an influencer myself to keep up with this.
Exactly.
Like I could, hey, you can be the guy and I can just be around and figure it out. A lot of times we feel like even now, like you got to live it all in the front, space of it. And it's hard to do. It's hard to navigate that. But I'll kick it back to you, K-Lig. Sorry.
Oh, what I got to say? No, JCole got the notes.
He had the notes.
He got the notes.
I'm skipping around.
You're doing great. You're doing a good job.
But another thing, the story about how the Looking for Trouble track came out with the Good Friday series with Kanye.
Ooh,
when that came out.
tea.
And I think the whole thing, to break it down.
It was tea.
To break it down, he was on tour. Cole was on tour, so he didn't have access to a studio, anything like that. They were in Michigan. And Kanye basically calls him on a Wednesday to ask if he wants to be put on. Actually, I should bring it back.
You gotta bring it back.
Let me bring it back.
Real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He giving the nice version.
Right.
The catalyst to the story.
But that's also a good thing of the series. Cole is vulnerable in what's happening too. So go ahead. Go further into what you were saying.
Yeah. So I guess back it up. I don't know if is it months, is it a couple weeks?
You're giving Eve right now.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm trying
to back up the story. To get in the story.
So we got in the car. Well, wait, I purchased the car.
It's in the midst of the Good Friday series being broken down. So I don't know if this is like a month or a couple weeks before. Basically, Kanye's on, I'm not sure what interview, but he's doing an interview, and they ask about JCole, about him, being on the Good Friday series. And he kind of just plays it off like, yeah, I know Cole. Maybe he'll get on. Like, he's going to give him an opportunity to get on the Good Friday series. And Cole looking like, damn, you playing it just to your advantage in terms of, like, for one, not even asking me to be on it. And then you're playing it like, yeah, I know him. I can give it to him if he wants to get on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm giving him giving him a favor. So to fast forward, after that interview came out, it's like Kanye seeing it as an opportunity, like an advantage. So he asked Cole, it's like he asked him 2 days before the song is about to drop, do you want to get on the series? I mean, get on the song that he had for the verse. And Cole is on tour. He can have animosity saying, no, I'm not going to get on it.
Yeah, ego.
Yeah, ego. There we go. Have the ego play a factor in the whole story. And he tries to find a studio in Michigan, can't find it. And it's basically 2 days before the story. I mean, 2 days before it drops. And he just decides to make shit happen. I think he actually records it on the tour bus to send the verse in. And it's one of those type things where it's like, damn, I could have just said no, because you already on tour, you already doing your thing. You just tried to play with me on the interview a couple weeks ago, but you know how big of a moment this is. Kanye is still technically a bigger artist than you, and he has the motion with the Good Friday series, and it's just crazy how everything come full circle to know which opportunities to take.
Yeah.
It wasn't just given to you in your lab. You kind of had to pivot. You had to do this, do that maneuver, and you still made it done, made it work. And I thought it was just a great take, because it's like you're taking chances and you're not letting your ego get in the way.
Yeah, but how do you know which ones is worth the pivot to? You know, I mean, obviously in this situation, like it's Kanye, it's a no-brainer to get on it. But I think sometimes it's like, how much do I have to do to make this work, and how big is the payoff?
No. I got a rapper brain moment for this though.
Go ahead,
I think of it like because couple things in this, a backstory. Cole speaks a lot about how Kanye was one of the more pivotal people in impacting his career and the ability that he can rap like this. So someone you look up to. We hear the long live your idols, may they never be your rivals. Like Cole, this is somebody that's to that. And taking the shade, he also took this as an opportunity, like, nah, like I'm a flex. And I will say, you know, any creative had that moment where it's like, yo, it's game time. Like this the person, like that moment, again, sports talk. God talk real quick.
They're excluding me.
No. It's Jordan across from Iverson. It's that moment where it's like, you know what? I know who you are in this space, and I'm a show you I'm built for this league. Thanks. You know, and I think that I love that Cole did that, because this speaks to his competitive and appreciation of hip hop as an art form, right? But a couple other things in this story that I even consider too. Like not only, I think he was trying to find a studio, end up like booking some studio in Michigan through the label for that. But you know, just that hunger for, I'm gonna meet the moment. Like it doesn't matter what's happening, right? Exactly. And a lot of times we get these moments. And to your question of like, hey, how do you know when you pivot? If you checking yourself and like, nah, this about to be a moment. I need to show up.
Exactly.
Like I'm a flex. I'm gonna show like, yo, even if you never call my phone again, you gonna remember me for this moment. Right. And that's some shit you gotta really do.
And on top of that, I think it was a thing of he never did that before. He never did a turnaround time when somebody called him. He's on tour. This was all new to him. So it's like you're doing something uncomfortable just to get out of that normalcy of, you know, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. You're stepping out the box. And I think that was the big thing in this.
One more thing of this series too that I want to talk about, because again, hip hop hierarchy, and I kind of grew up in the same thought, like the looking at Jay-Z and the role model of it, right? Jay's career from artist to CEO is like a blueprint for a lot of people, right? Like in terms of this is how you get it, this is how you make it. So then it's cool to hear Cole's story, where it's now you're signing to the person who has a blueprint, but they're still figuring it out. Like you can hear, like there was a moment where there's Cole's giving pushback on a record, and Ebe interjects with a interview where Memphis Bleak was like, yo, he never let me do that. Hov never let me do that. And you can see like, well, Hov's figuring out how to do this. Even when Cole has this blow up conversation with him in this very public forum, Jay has to step back like, you know what? You're right. Because Jay has never had an artist like him again, right? Like he had some people under him. That's why he's like, yo, I need a hit record from you. This formula works. I've seen it time and time again. I've been in this game long enough. I need this from you. But the other side of that is, hey, that's a little loud. The other side of that is Cole taking a moment and saying, nah, like don't put your expectations on me. Let me be an artist. And the one thing I want to say, you got to let the creatives cook. Like if there's someone who is really into what they're doing, or they actually have a vision and they can deliver or show up in any way, you got to clear out and let them do their thing sometimes. Even if you don't know, I'm having a hard time learning how to lead as a creative only on my own, because again, I've only approached this journey through my lens. Now I'm trying to, okay, what is it to let other people find their way in something that you're building without overpowering. So I do want to like give credit to him and Jay's relationships and the growth of it to where you get to a 2014 Forest Hill Drive and Hove's like, I will buy my own jet to come out and support you because you deserve the support. So
the leadership was real for sure.
It was. And I think a big thing from just their relationship, and I think now it's even more prevalent with social media, not everything needs to be in the forefront to know that it's a good relationship, because a lot of people thought they had beef.
For sure.
But I think it was one thing. For one, he's the boss. He's Jay-Z. We're not about to be buddy in every picture together anyway. But I think all in all, he did support him during his time, under Roc Nation as an artist. And it shows, like, the relationships you have with people don't always need to be buddy on Front Street. Like, this is what we do. This is how we handle our, relationship and go about things. But it doesn't mean that it's bad blood. And I think a lot of people, make their own assumptions when they don't see things on social media. Like, that's the telltale all to everything.
What I like about what he learned from Jay-Z is what he wanted to do completely opposite when he had Dreamville. I think like the leadership really stifled his creativity and stuff like that. So when he had the opportunity to get his own artists, to nurture their own artists, they really were conscious about, okay, I want you to be a creative. I want you to have the space and the money and the income or whatever you need to just cook on your own. And I think, like they said in the pod, like they went on the complete opposite end.
Right.
Maybe too much so. Back to the conversation we had about Ari a few episodes ago. It's like, where is that happy medium of overbearing? I need you to make a hit and do what you feel, go with the vibe. Type shit.
And shout outs to Cole's patience for not like wanting to chase the money or re-up for an agreement too soon.
Cole is just a different type of
nigga.
Like that's what I got from this entire series.
There's a lot of just forward thinking decisions that he made throughout this entire journey that you can now see them paying off even with what he has now. So honestly, I mean, I really enjoyed actually tapping into this series. Oh, almost. Lord, cut.
I was about to talk shit. I was about to talk shit. That's what I get. Because just to have a different of opinion, a lot of people don't fuck with it. Not a lot, but I have heard people say they don't really fuck with it.
Really?
The audio series?
Yeah, they're saying like, get in the booth. Like we don't need. They said Kendrick has the light skinned people out here and reminiscing. That's what the streets are saying.
Nah, yo.
But I think
that's what the streets are saying.
I've seen that tweet. I saw that tweet.
You know what's funny though? Could you imagine that this was already on your playbook for the year? And now you hear like, come on, dog.
I feel like Elliott Wilson, to give credit where his credit's due. Elliott Wilson, who is, I don't know his whole vibe, but he definitely has said that. Like Kendrick got the light skins out here reminiscing. I personally, I don't know if my opinion of it is because I'm a fan and I would definitely listen to 20 hours of JCole talking, versus just a fan that's not really like into it that much.
So do we think this is a pivot or do we think this was planned?
Well, the way I look at it, I think it's planned.
I think it's planned.
And a conspiracy that I have is even the apology to
was planned.
Kendrick. Yes, and the reason why I say it is because like this nigga always talking about the fall off. This is what is to come.
It's 2019,
and this sounds like a perfect fall off rollout. You doing some
it's some fall.
I'm not gonna call it goofy.
Oh,
let me stop. Because he reeled me back in. I like to really like respect what he does and who he is as an artist. Like this audio series
it
really
worked.
It puts in perspective to like who your real fans are. And he owned the moment. I don't think this is a fumble. I don't think this is a quick pivot emergency trying to get like this looks natural.
He's definitely. I was doing some research, and apparently he teased this on Yachty's podcast when he did that long ass interview with Yachty.
Oh yeah.
He said that there is a podcast coming that is about my life and very reflective, very therapeutic for him.
Dang,
no, so it was planned.
Yeah, that's planned.
But when it was released was definitely depending on circumstances.
I mean, it's like hey, we could have did this earlier in the summer, but it's wintertime, settle down.
I mean, you see like the last Dreamville's coming up next year as well. It really just sounds like it's a graceful bow out.
I liked his definition of the fall off, and more importantly, I think that this is a in real life execution of what a fall off could look like to lead into a problem, but and also show like I'm saying I'm falling off, but I'm also the nicest I've ever been at rapping. Like I still think skill wise, he's been on a crazy run. Like this past year, his guest features run by itself was like top tier. So I think it's a fall off, but I'm hoping this is probably his best project.
Well, it really sounds like we're about to get into my personal favorite part about this podcast, which is called Rate, recommend, and resource. Please.
That pivot. I like that pivot.
Please,
I like that. I like that. I like
tell
that. I like
me.
that.
What are you rating this?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm giving it a 10. I'm giving it a 10. I am one of the biggest JCole fans. I will tell you that. But just the entire rollout, the story, everything that comes with it in terms of exclusivity, owning your community, like it taught me things, and I learned things as a business owner.
Yeah.
Aside from just his career, which is always inspiring, and you learn from your mistakes and all that, blah blah blah. But from the actual thing of how this is structured, man, it took me back to the 2013 days. I'm talking about announcing a rehearsal show. You got to text Lil Cole to get the. Come on, yo, that's dialing the dream energy right there.
Yeah.
Like 10 out of 10. I got
10
you.
out of motherfucking 10.
I can't go any less than that. I mean, 10 out of 10 from a marketing and a creative perspective. What he's done in building a community, owning it, and actually nurturing it right away. Plus, there's still more to come. Like, now you have this platform for when the fall off does come. And let's not forget, they also said inevitable season 1, which also
I was so happy.
Exactly.
I was
like
so happy when I realized
something else
that.
is coming. So, like, you know, we always look at when I rate things on here is, hey, not only how does it execute right now, but what does it lead into? And it sounds like the ball is just getting started. So if he just focus on his path, it's a great way out.
No, for sure.
It is a 10 out of 10 for me as well, y'all.
I didn't know if I was gonna get that from you.
No,
Little 9, 8, 9-ish.
8, 9-ish is crazy. No. Like, to reiterate everything that y'all said, I just don't even think that Cole could have rapped his way out of what the world was feeling about him.
That's a good point.
It was no way he was going to rap his way. He could have dropped anything.
You did what you did.
You did.
Yeah. Facts.
Look, got us feeling like we apologize. I was so sorry.
It was like, hey, I don't know, I'm a Cole fan. So I think by re-energizing your base and reminding people why they fuck with you is a genius play in general. It was so relatable. It's just like you said, like, it got me thinking just as a creative, which is anything that I could do that is just super dope. The beauty of the process, just everything about this was a knockout of the park for me. I really enjoyed it.
And another thing that we didn't even touch on in this episode or conversation is, like, the place it took us in our own journey while listening to it, right? Yep. Because I could listen to this, and I remember moving around New York City while Grown Simba rings off or things like that. Like,
man. He was there when it happened.
I was outside, right?
You seen Cole on the bike?
Nah, not that part. I was there, like, I was up in there when he was
on the come up.
Yeah, the come up there. Like,
can we talk? Never mind.
Nah, they're off the
NDA.
records. Off the
NDA.
records, right? Like, relax. But no, like, I mean, and I love the formula because, like I said earlier, you know, hip hop is a really young, like, hip hop's just turned 50 last year, right? It's a really young industry, and it's taking a lot of time to evolve. So people are still figuring it out. Jay-Z has been a North Star for a lot of artists, even myself when you're younger, on, like, not only how to tell your story, but how to get out, own what you have. This is why you shouldn't put nothing next to me, honestly. But we're going to go ahead and fix that. But then on top of that, to get to where now Cole has recounted this journey, I think it's amazing for upcoming artists to say, like, hey, this was the path. At the end of the day, my best work was when I trusted myself and my vision. Like, we didn't even talk about the dude who says, yo, you got to play the game to change the game. Like, there was a lot of jewels that were what was that? Good. Mark Pitts. There was a lot of things that were shown, like, yeah, there was an industry that people were trying to figure out and force artists down. Now, not too many artists have that same thing, but I think that there is a still appreciation for the product that you can put time into.
You dropped a quote. Now I want to drop a quote that really stuck with me when he was talking to Pharrell, and he was like, how do you find, JCole asked Pharrell, how do you find your sound? And Pharrell was just like, I just pick shit that I like. Mind blowing to me. Like, we're all trying to find, like, what's my groove, especially me. Like, I'm trying to figure out what content should I post it. It's what you like. Like, people fuck with you because of your brain, the way that your creative mind thinks. So yeah, that I just went with my own taste. And when Cole became confident in his own taste is when you got 2014 Forest Hill Drive, and when he became confident in his own style, like, you really start to just morph into your own person. So I thought it was great. Any
recommendations? Or which y'all think is, if you were to give one at this stance? I know they're doing their own thing.
I'm just selfish. Visuals. I would like to have watched them. That's all.
I think they could even do it as an animated series.
That would have been cute. I love when animated.
Because they might not have the footage of certain things.
No, I'm talking about watch them do the
Do the
interview.
recording.
Oh.
That's just me.
You want to see Cole cry?
Cole did cry.
You want to see
He
him?
did.
That's crazy.
I want to see that tear, nigga.
Like, nah, nigga, you faking it. I know you got to use your voice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, that's funny. I think my recommendation, again, I don't know what this is going to become. And this is, at this point, by the time this episode drops, the concert's happening tonight.
Yep.
So looking forward to tuning in and watching this concert. But I think an inevitable series with either guest features or like guest spot off. Like I would love to hear Wale's version of that same timeline, right? Like the people from the Backpack era, Cole sit and have conversations with. I think that would be a really dope way to kind of expand the inevitable series with other people because that was the era of artists really grinded to make something happen because you had to not only do in real life but the blog era, like. Facts. The blog era doesn't have a real podcast voice yet. So I think that would be a good lead into it.
For sure. I also don't know what I would recommend. I'm very excited for what else it is to come. I feel like it's hard to recommend something like this because it's not done. I feel like we're just like tipping the iceberg, especially with it being one season. Like it probably is going to be another season of this. So yeah, I would just recommend other niggas to get in the booth and sit down with a mic and start telling your story. It's like a Big Sean, like a Wale. Like, let's hear what happened. So,
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Last thing I thought about that before we switch over to resource. I actually really did like how what this does, and I think taking advantage of now, spotlighting people who were behind the scenes of artists. I think you're going to start to see that more. Like the fact, like now that we know Eve, we know Jeff Laser, like we know these people now, like Scott Laser, sorry, and now like. And even as they started to talk about other people who were around, it's like, oh, this person's at head of Atlantic. Well, who is that? What is that person? There was a young woman, in fact, I deleted Instagram off my phone.
Good job.
Because I DM'd someone, like, there was a woman who had a book that even JCole shouts out right now in the book that you can go check out. And it's like, yo, this is pointing to other people who are around. And now you're getting spotlight to your community after this success. I think we're going to see a lot more people doing that.
For sure.
No, for sure.
All right, y'all. We rated, we recommended. JCole, if you ever want, podcast hosts to ever react to anything else that you may need.
Send us the record.
Please.
Little tickets, we're not that far from New York.
We're not.
We are just a hop in. We'll pay for our own jet, okay?
Right.
Exactly.
right. For
We'll
you.
pay for the plane.
For you.
It don't matter.
Nah, that's a
It's
fact.
good.
That's
It's all good. All right, y'all. So finally, the way that we love to wrap up our amazing podcast is to give you a resource, something that you can take and apply to your daily life. So we're going to leave J-Law for last because he always has something that you need to go get a pen and paper for. So we're going to pause on him. And go ahead, Cook.
And mine is beyond Google Drive. I recommend Red Circle. Red Circle is actually the platform I've been using to launch this podcast, where it actually is a seamless upload and it streams to all Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and it does an extension to YouTube as well. So for anybody who is looking to get started with a podcast or something, this is a good platform to invest in to make sure that your work gets out there.
I love that because I've always been curious about podcasts, but never really understood, like, how do you get into all of the different streaming services? So shout out to that. I'm going to go. So my recommendation is Riverside. Similar to the podcast realm, Riverside is a online way to record your podcast. So if your guest is not with you, you can, call them in. It's in 4K, very, very crisp. But it also has other features as well. So you can upload your long form content. Like for me, I upload my YouTube videos and I have a lot of pauses and a lot of ums. And sometimes I'm looking at my notes. So it can delete all of the pauses for you. And it also creates clips. It is like, it's infinite things that you can do with this thing. It also has a transcript so I can read what I'm saying. And yeah, it isn't free, y'all. I think it's between like $20 a month, but it's well worth it. Like it can clip everything up. I love Riverside.
Oh, that's major right there. I didn't even know about that one.
Goes to download.
Major.
Exactly. Mine is Facebook Ads Library. I'm always about, as a creative, getting your stuff in front of people so they can see it. So I've been like doing a lot of research lately, and you always think about like how to make things more eye-catching, and the best thing for me is to look at your competitors. So in that standpoint, you can type in any brand that you like their content, and it literally will show you the ads that they have running and previous ads that they had ran before. It's free. It's a free platform. You just have to know the name of them, and then it shows them like it's on Facebook or it's on Instagram. It shows them how long it's been running. So it's
how
like
much
a
money
cheat
they
code.
spent on it too?
No, they don't show you that. That's
First
the
off-
real tea.
I was like, first off,
What the pockets like?
J-Law going last from now on with resources. I'm sick
All
of
the
this.
time.
I'm sick of
All the
this.
time.
But it's a true cheat code. I've been using it probably for the last 2 months because I got some things that I'm doing in 2025 and I got to get the things out now. So just doing research on like my competitors, I guess you would say, but people and different brands I look up to. Facebook ad library.
Yeah, we on your neck, competitors.
Hey, coming at the juggler. Okay, well, y'all, I absolutely love this podcast. Love this episode. And if you want to check us out anywhere else, Cook, where can they find us?
You can find us on all social platforms at CTLN_network and on YouTube at CTLN Network. And you can see all the great things we got going on. But most importantly, the creators got something to say.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Ooh.
Check us out next time.